You can't build wealth with a consumer's mind because consumers chase pleasure, but investors chase purpose. Most people spend their whole lives buying things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people who don't even notice. And then they wonder why freedom feels like a dream. But here's the secret. The wealthy don't spend to escape life. They invest to create it. They know every dollar has a job, and that job is to buy back time, freedom, and options. See, money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies what you think. If you think like a spender, money disappears. If you think like an investor, money multiplies. So, before you make your next purchase, pause and ask, is this helping me consume my future or create it? Because the difference between the broke and the wealthy isn't income, it's intention. And once you shift that, your life, your choices, and your results will never look the same again. Let me tell you something I learned a long time ago. It's not what you earn that determines your wealth, it's what you allocate. I've met men who earn a fortune and stay broke, and I've met modest earners who become free because they learned how to direct their money instead of letting it drift. The difference is not in the paycheck, it's in the plan. You see, poor thinking says, if I only had more money, I'd be fine. But rich thinking says, if I become better at managing what I have, I'll attract more. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. And if you're careless with a little, you'll be reckless with a lot. When I was young, I used to spend every dollar I earned. I thought comfort was the reward for hard work. A nicer car, a new suit, a better meal. But I realized something painful. Comfort fades quickly, while investment grows quietly. The rich understand that money is a seed. You don't eat all your seed, you plant some. And the more you plant, the more your garden grows. But too many people spend their seed trying to impress people who aren't even watching. Here's the truth. Every dollar you earn is a worker. It can either work for you or against you. When you spend impulsively, your dollar leaves your life forever. When you allocate it wisely into investments, savings, or personal growth, that dollar becomes your employee. It goes out, brings back friends, and reports for duty every day, even while you sleep. That's how wealth works. Not through endless hustle, but through intelligent direction. You have to start thinking like a steward, not a consumer. A consumer asks, what can I buy? An investor asks, what can I build? The poor spend to feel rich today. The rich invest to be free tomorrow. It's not that wealthy people don't enjoy life, they just understand timing. They enjoy later because they plan sooner. They let discipline buy what impatience always loses. Start with awareness. For 30 days, write down every expense, every coffee, every impulse purchase, every unnecessary subscription. You'll be amazed at how much quietly leaks away. Awareness creates control. Then set a rule. Invest before you indulge. Treat your investments like bills, non-negotiable. Automate them. Because if you wait until the end of the month to invest, you'll never have anything left. The poor pay everyone else first. The rich pay themselves first. And here's a principle to live by. Don't spend to look rich. Spend to become rich. Every purchase should serve a purpose. To grow your mind, your assets, or your freedom. Ask before every transaction, will this make me richer or just look like it? That one question will save you years of regret. Wealth isn't built by chance, it's built by choice. Every dollar you direct today builds the foundation of the life you'll live tomorrow. So stop spending, start allocating. Don't trade your freedom for fleeting pleasure, because money when used with purpose, becomes the servant that buys back your time, your peace, and your life. One of the greatest shifts you'll ever make in your financial life is this: move from being a consumer to becoming a creator. The world doesn't reward those who buy. It rewards those who build. Every great fortune you see today was built by someone who stopped asking, "What can I get?" and started asking, "What can I give?" That's the shift that changes everything. The poor and middle class are trained to consume entertainment, products, trends, distractions, but the wealthy are trained to create value, opportunity, systems, and solutions. I remember when I was young and broke, sitting in my tiny apartment, wondering why some people seemed to have all the opportunities while others struggled endlessly. Then it hit me. I was living as a consumer in a producer's world. I was spending my time watching others win while they were spending theirs building something of value. You see, the marketplace doesn't pay for opinions. It pays for contribution. It doesn't care how much you know. It cares how much you offer. The truth is, you're either helping someone else's dream grow or building your own. Every time you scroll through ads and buy something unnecessary, you're working for someone else's vision. The rich understand this game. They know the world belongs to creators. They design products, develop services, build brands, write books, record courses. They build streams of income that flow, whether they're awake or asleep. While most people are spending money to be entertained, the rich are creating content, ideas, and innovations that earn money every time someone else consumes them. It's not about having capital. It's about having creativity. You don't need $1 million to start. You just need an idea that solves a problem. Maybe you're a great teacher, designer, speaker, or craftsman. Turn that skill into something valuable. Package your expertise. Monetize your knowledge. You'd be surprised how much people are willing to pay when you create something that improves their lives. I've seen people go from broke to thriving just by sharing what they already knew, but in a way that served others. Now, here's where the mindset shift happens. Consumers say, "I deserve to enjoy my money." Creators say, "I deserve to grow my money." One uses money to escape reality. The other uses it to expand reality. One buys products, the other builds them. The only way to change your financial future is to move from the audience to the stage. Don't just admire success, architect it. Start small. Build one thing, a skill, a system, a service, and make it valuable. The world doesn't need more spenders, it needs more solvers. Spend less time scrolling and more time building. Every hour you waste consuming could be an hour spent creating something that lasts. So stop consuming the dreams of others, start producing your own. Because wealth doesn't come to those who buy what everyone else sells. It comes to those who create what everyone else needs. Time is the ultimate currency. Not dollars, not gold, not crypto, time. You can lose money and make it back. But once time is spent, it's gone forever. That's why the wealthy think differently about it. They don't trade time for money. They multiply time through leverage. Poor minds see time as something to kill. Rich minds see time as something to cultivate. And if you want to join the ranks of the wealthy, you must learn to treat every hour like an asset that either appreciates or depreciates based on how you use it. I remember a season in my early career when I was working 12-hour days, running in circles, feeling exhausted yet broke. I thought hard work was the key until I realized I was busy, not productive. The rich don't get paid for hours. They get paid for outcomes. They ask, "How can I make this system work without me?" While others ask, "How can I work harder to make this system work. That's the difference between earning a living and building a life. Wealthy people understand the law of leverage. They use automation, delegation, and systems to multiply their time. They hire people to handle what doesn't require their mind. And they invest their focus into what multiplies results. They don't try to do everything. They do what matters most, and they do it well. They'd rather spend 10 hours building a system that saves them 1,000 hours later than spend 10 hours doing the same repetitive task. Think of time like a seed. You can eat it, that's consumption, or you can plant it, that's investment. When you spend an hour scrolling on social media, that time is gone forever. But when you spend an hour learning a new skill, building a business, or mentoring someone who will multiply your impact, that hour continues to grow and compound for years. That's the magic of time leverage. You do something once, and it continues to work for you. For example, when you write a book, record a course, or build an online system, that effort keeps producing even while you sleep. That's how wealthy people think. They ask, how can I make this work without me? Consumers are trapped in the cycle of earning, spending, and starting over. Investors build mechanisms that keep working even when they don't. So, start investing your time where it compounds in learning, systems, and people. Spend an hour daily developing a skill that will save or earn you time later. Automate your bills, delegate tasks that don't need your brilliance, and focus your energy on what only you can do. Because at the end of the day, the question isn't whether you have enough time, it's whether you're using it to multiply your future or maintain your present. Time is your greatest asset. Treat it that way, and you'll discover that wealth isn't built in dollars first, it's built in hours wisely invested. Money is one of the greatest teachers in life. It reveals who we are, what we value, and how disciplined we've become. But most people treat money like a trophy, not a tool. They chase it to show off, not to grow up. They see money as the goal, not the instrument. And that's where everything goes wrong. You see, money itself is neutral. It doesn't corrupt or cure. It simply amplifies what's already inside you. If you're foolish, money will magnify foolishness. If you're wise, money will magnify wisdom. The key isn't in having more money, it's in learning how to master it. I learned early in my career that money behaves best when it has a purpose. When I first started earning a decent income, I made the classic mistake. I bought things to prove that I was successful. The new car, the nice clothes, the fancy dinners. And for a while, it felt good. But one day, I realized that everything I owned was quietly owning me. Payments, responsibilities, upkeep, all the trophies I'd collected had turned into chains. That was the day I learned that money should serve you, not enslave you. The rich don't worship money, they direct it. They tell every dollar where to go before it leaves their hand. They treat money like an employee. It has a job, and it's expected to bring back results. Poor thinkers, on the other hand, let money wander aimlessly. They let emotion dictate how it's spent. A discount here, a splurge there, a new gadget because I deserve it. But the truth is, every dollar without direction becomes a dollar lost. Think of money like a hammer. In the right hands it builds homes, in the wrong hands it causes damage. The tool isn't the problem, the user is. When you understand that money is meant to build, not boast, you begin to treat it differently. You start asking new questions. Not what can I buy, but what can I build? Not how can I spend this, but how can I make this grow? Every dollar that passes through your hands has a destiny. Assign it one, save some, invest some, and use some to grow yourself. Buy books before bags. tools before toys, systems before symbols. The wealthy don't collect things, they collect assets that make more things possible. And here's the irony. The moment you stop worshiping money is the moment it starts working for you. When you use it to buy freedom, not validation, when you treat it as the servant, not the master, you begin to experience the real purpose of wealth. So, give every dollar a mission. Don't let it sit idle. And don't waste it trying to impress people who don't pay your bills. Because at the end of the day, money is not the goal. Freedom is. And the sooner you see it as a tool to get there, the faster you'll build a life that no amount of money could ever buy. One of the greatest shifts a person can make in their financial life is learning to think in terms of cash flow, not cash spent. Most people get excited when they have money in their hands. The paycheck arrives, and immediately the mind starts running through a list of things to buy, bills to pay, or pleasures to enjoy. But wealthy people think differently. They don't ask, how much do I have to spend? They ask, how much will keep coming in even if I stop working? That single question separates the financially free from the financially trapped. In my early years, I used to believe that success was about earning more money. The more I made, the more I spent, and somehow I was always back at zero. I soon realized that income alone doesn't create freedom. Cash flow does. Income is temporary. It depends on effort, on showing up, on working another hour. But cash flow is permanent. It's the reward of assets that continue to pay you long after the initial effort is done. The investor doesn't work for money every day. They build systems that make money work for them every day. That's why I often say, don't just make money, make money make money. Whether it's through real estate, dividends, royalties, or a small business, the key is to create value that continues to deliver even while you rest. The rich plant seeds, ideas, systems, investments that keep bearing fruit. The poor, on the other hand, eat their seeds before they ever have the chance to grow. Now, you don't need to start big. You don't need a fortune to build cash flow. You can start with small steps, a savings account that earns interest, a side business that grows slowly, an investment in your education that increases your earning power. What matters is that you start building streams, not puddles. You see, a puddle dries up when the rain stops, but a river keeps flowing no matter the weather. That's what you want your finances to look like, a constant flow that sustains your life, whether you're working or not. And here's a key insight. The wealthy rarely spend their profits, they reinvest them. When money comes in, they don't ask, what can I buy? They ask, how can I multiply this? That's how small streams grow into rivers and rivers into oceans. Every dollar you reinvest becomes an employee that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no breaks, no complaints, no sick days. So track your cash flow like your life depends on it, because financially, it does. Ask yourself regularly, how much of what I earn is active income, and how much is passive? The goal is simple, to make the latter grow until one day it fully replaces the former. That's when you'll know you're free, not when you earn more, but when you no longer have to trade time for money. Because freedom doesn't come from cash spent, it comes from cash that keeps flowing long after you've stopped working for it. There's a powerful moment in every wealth journey when you realize that freedom doesn't come from working harder. It comes from making what you've already earned work harder than you do. You see, if your money only works when you do, you'll always be chained to effort, always trading time for dollars. The wealthy break that chain by learning a secret most people overlook. They don't just earn income, they own it. When I was young and just starting out, I thought the formula was simple. Work hard, earn more, live better. But after a few years, I realized that hard work alone had a ceiling. No matter how many hours I worked, there were only 24 hours in a day. That's when it hit me. If I wanted to change my financial destiny, I needed to build assets that worked even while I rested. Because real wealth isn't measured by how much you make, it's measured by how long you can live comfortably if you stopped working today. So I began to turn my earnings into engines. Every dollar I made had to do more than buy me comfort. It had to buy me freedom. Instead of upgrading my car, I upgraded my investments. Instead of collecting things that sat idle, I built things that produced income. That's the shift you must make. Stop thinking of money as a reward and start thinking of it as a worker. Hire it. Train it. Send it out to earn for you. The rich understand that assets are the true employees in their enterprise. Real estate collects rent while they sleep. Stocks earn dividends while they travel. Digital systems, books, or businesses create income long after the work is done. And every time a dollar comes back, they don't celebrate with consumption, they celebrate with reinvestment. That's how they grow their wealth without growing their workload. And it's not just about money. Your skills can be assets too, if you package and scale them right. Maybe you've learned something valuable from your career or experience. Turn that into a course, a consulting service, a digital product. The internet has made it possible for anyone, anywhere, to build something once and sell it 1,000 times. That's leverage. That's freedom. Of course, this requires discipline. Most people let lifestyle inflate as income rises. But that's a trap, because the moment your expenses rise with your earnings, you're back to where you started. The wise resist that temptation. They reinvest profits into assets that pay them again and again until one day they wake up to realize that their money, not their body, not their time, is doing the heavy lifting. So ask yourself tonight, what's working for you while you rest? What's earning while you're not? Because if nothing is, then no matter how much you earn, you're still working for money instead of letting money work for you. The goal is simple, to build a life where your assets clock in every morning, even if you don't. That's not just wealth, that's freedom. Most people fear what they don't understand, and money is no different. I've met men who can build a house, fix an engine, or lead a company, yet they tremble when they see a financial statement. They say, "I'm just not good with money." But that's not true. They're simply illiterate in the language of money. And here's the painful truth. What you don't understand, you'll always lose to someone who does. Ignorance costs more than education. Always. When I was young, I worked hard, but I didn't understand where my money was going. I could earn it, yes, but I couldn't make it stay. It slipped through my fingers faster than I could grab it. Then one day a mentor said something that changed everything. You're fluent in the language of labor, but not in the language of wealth. That sentence woke me up. I realized I'd spent years mastering how to earn, but zero time mastering how to keep, grow, and control what I earned. Money is not magic, it's a system. It follows laws, patterns, and principles, just like gravity or physics. And once you understand those laws, you stop being afraid of it. You start to see it clearly, how it flows, how it multiplies, how it hides when neglected. The rich aren't smarter, they're just fluent. They know what words like asset, liability, leverage, and cash flow mean, and they use them as tools to build freedom. I started small. I began reading 1 page a day from books on finance and investment. I didn't understand most of it at first, but I kept at it. Gradually, the terms started to make sense. I learned how to read a profit and loss statement. I learned the difference between gross and net, between appreciation and depreciation, between good debt and bad debt. And here's the magic. Once I started to understand money, money started to speak back. Opportunities that once went unnoticed became visible. Deals that looked risky before began to look strategic. My confidence grew because my ignorance shrank. And you don't need to be a financial genius to begin. You just need to start learning the basics. How investing works, how taxes affect your wealth, how budgeting keeps your house in order. Read, listen, watch, ask questions. Learn from mentors, not marketers. A mentor will teach you how to think about money. A marketer will teach you how to spend it. The difference between the two determines your financial destiny. And here's something important. Review your finances regularly. Even if you're starting small, don't wait until you have more money to pay attention. You'll never have more if you don't start paying attention now. Treat your financial life like a business, no matter how small it is today. Because the person who understands the language of money will always have it, and the one who ignores it will always chase it. So, if you want money to serve you, learn to speak its language. Once you do, it will no longer intimidate you. It will begin to obey you. You know, most people live for the weekend, for the next upgrade, for the applause of others. But the great tragedy is this: they build a lifestyle, not a legacy. And when the lights go out and the applause fades, there's nothing left behind but a pile of receipts and fading memories. Real wealth isn't the car in your driveway or the clothes in your closet. It's the values that outlive you. The consumer buys to impress. The investor builds to impact. The question isn't, how much can I enjoy before I die? But rather, how much can I create that keeps blessing others when I'm gone? When I was younger, I wanted the good life. Nice suits, nice cars, nice things. But one day, my mentor said, it's fine to enjoy success, but make sure your success outlasts your presence. That line stayed with me. Because what's the use of building wealth if it disappears the moment you do? The rich don't just think in decades, they think in generations. They don't just build businesses, they build philosophies. They don't just leave money, they leave wisdom. And that's what turns financial success into generational wealth. I've seen families inherit fortunes and lose them within a few short years. Why? Because no one passed down the principles that created the wealth. They got the money, but not the mindset. You can hand someone $1 million, but if you don't hand them the discipline, they'll find a way to spend it. So if you truly want to be rich, don't just build for yourself. Build a system of thinking that can be taught, shared, and lived by others long after you're gone. Teach your children not just how to earn, but how to think about money. Talk to them about patience, value, discipline, and giving. Share your wins, but also your mistakes. Show them how you learned to invest, how you planned, how you sacrificed. Because money fades, but wisdom compounds. You might not see it now, but those small conversations around the dinner table, those lessons about saving, serving, and building, those are seeds that grow into forests. And it's not just about family. Your legacy extends to your team, your community, your world. Use your wealth to fund what matters. Invest in people, not just portfolios. Support causes that align with your values. Give, not because you're rich, but because giving makes you richer in the ways that truly count. I'll tell you this, the day your name no longer needs to be mentioned for your influence to be felt, you've built something that lasts. Don't live your life chasing impressions. Live it leaving imprints. Because in the end, the true test of wealth isn't what you leave for people, it's what you leave in them. That's the kind of wealth time can't erase, and the kind of legacy the world never forgets. There's something dangerous about living only for the moment, because when you live only for now, you rob the future of its greatness. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort, applause, and validation. They buy things to impress people who aren't even paying attention. But here's the truth. The consumer buys to impress, the investor builds to impact. One builds memories that fade, the other builds meaning that lasts. And that difference defines whether you're remembered or forgotten. I remember when I started earning well for the first time. It was tempting to show the world the nice suit, the new car, the dinner at the fancy place. But one day, I sat quietly and asked myself, when I'm gone, what of this will matter? And the answer was clear. None of it. The car will rust, the suit will wear, the applause will stop. But if I could use my time and money to build something that continues when I can't, that would matter. That's when I learned the real definition of wealth. It's not about accumulation, it's about continuation. See, lifestyle fades, but legacy compounds. The rich don't just buy, they build. They don't chase luxury, they chase longevity. They think in terms of decades and generations, not days and desires. They understand that the true purpose of money is not to look rich, but to make a difference. When you begin to see money as a tool for impact, not a symbol of status, you rise above the crowd. If you want to create something that outlasts you, start by transferring your philosophy, not just your fortune. Teach your children how to think about money, not just how to spend it. Pass on habits of discipline, generosity, and responsibility. Let them see how you earn, how you give, how you decide. Because if they inherit your wisdom, they'll multiply your wealth. But if they inherit only your wealth, they'll eventually lose it. And it's not just about family. Legacy extends to everyone you touch. The people who work with you, the communities you serve, the strangers who benefit from your generosity. When you invest in causes that align with your values, you're not just donating, you're planting seeds of purpose that will grow long after you're gone. Your goal should not be to be remembered for what you had, but for what you gave. Build systems that serve people, not just systems that serve you. Let your business, your investments, and your words become vehicles for contribution. That's how ordinary wealth turns into extraordinary legacy. Because in the end, lifestyle is about how you live, legacy is about how you make others live better. And when your time is done, the world won't remember your possessions, it'll remember your principles. Live today in a way that your absence tomorrow still adds value. That's what it means to truly think legacy, not lifestyle. When I was young, I believed what most people are taught, that the only way to make more money was to work harder. So, I worked long hours, stayed late, woke up early, and thought that effort alone would buy me freedom. But I learned a harsh truth. Effort alone buys exhaustion. You see, most people spend their lives working for money, while the wealthy spend their lives making money work for them. It's not about how much you can do. It's about how much you can direct. Money is a servant, not a master. The problem is, most people serve it, they chase it, fear it, worry about it. But the wealthy learn to control it. They give every dollar an assignment. They make it earn, invest, and multiply. They understand that if your money isn't working while you sleep, you'll spend your life awake worrying about it. I remember a turning point in my early years when a mentor told me, don't just earn income, build streams of income. He said, one stream pays the bills, but multiple streams buy freedom. And I took that to heart. I started small, a few investments here, a small business idea there, and I watched as my money began to move without me. It didn't happen overnight, but when it did, I realized something profound. The goal isn't to work harder. It's to build smarter systems that don't depend on your constant presence. Think about it this way. You can only work so many hours in a day, but your money can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without rest, without complaint, without burnout. That's leverage. The rich understand leverage better than anyone. They use money to buy time, to buy peace, to buy options. And that's real freedom, the ability to choose what to do with your day, not what you have to do. So, how do you start? Begin by building a portfolio that produces cash flow. Not just assets that look impressive, but assets that pay you back. Investments, rental properties, dividend stocks, digital products, or businesses that run on systems. Every dollar you earn should be put to work, not just spent or stored, but employed. Treat each dollar like a little employee whose job is to bring back friends. Then, buy tools and systems that multiply your productivity. Use automation, technology, and people to do what your time alone cannot. The question you must keep asking yourself every week is simple yet powerful. Is my money working harder than I am? If the answer is no, you're still an employee. Even if you own the business, freedom doesn't come from earning more, it comes from owning more that earns for you. Don't let money be something you chase. Make it something that chases opportunities for you. Because when your money works harder than you do, that's when you finally stop living to survive and start living to build. When most people think of income, they imagine one straight road, their job. They wake up, drive down that road every day, and hope it never closes. But what happens when it does? A company downsizes, an economy shifts, or a skill becomes outdated, and suddenly, the road ends. That's why the wealthy don't travel one highway. They build multiple lanes that all lead to the same destination, financial freedom. You see, one stream of income can feed you, but multiple streams can free you. I learned this lesson early on when I was relying on a single paycheck. I thought security came from loyalty to a company, but true security comes from diversity of cash flow. The first time my income stopped, I realized how fragile stability really was. That experience taught me to build not just one income source, but a system of incomes. Some from my work, some from my investments, some from ventures that required my mind but not my constant presence. And that's when I understood. One stream dries up, but a river flows forever. The goal is not to scatter your focus, but to strategically expand your foundation. Start with one lane, your skill-based income. That's your trade, your craft, your business, or your profession. Master it. Become so good at it that it pays your bills and funds your future. Then, from the profits of that lane, build your second asset-based income. This could be real estate, dividend-paying stocks, or even digital assets that continue to grow in value. These are your silent workers. They don't complain, they don't take breaks, and they don't need motivation. They just work. Once your assets start generating returns, you can focus on passive income, systems that earn while you sleep. Maybe it's royalties, automated businesses, or investment returns. These streams are slower to build, but once established, they give you something priceless, time freedom. And that's the ultimate wealth. But here's a word of caution. Don't try to build 10 lanes at once. You'll spread your energy too thin, and none will carry the traffic. Master one, then expand. Think of it like building bridges, each one strong enough to carry the weight of your dreams before you move on to the next. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that multiple incomes mean multiple jobs. That's not true. It means multiple systems. It means understanding that your time is limited, but your creativity is not. The wealthy design structures that multiply their money without multiplying their hours. So, make it your goal to build at least one new income stream each year, even if it starts small. It could be a side project, an investment account, or a new skill turned into a service. Over time, these streams merge into a river so strong that even if one dries up, the flow continues. Dependence is dangerous. Diversification is defense. Don't wait for life to block your only road. Build your lanes now, because when one income slows, another can carry you forward. That's how financial freedom isn't just achieved, it's secured. Most people lose money not because of bad investments, but because of bad emotions. They get greedy when things rise and fearful when things fall. The truth is, markets will always swing, trends will always shift, and economies will always change. But if your emotions swing just as wildly, your wealth will always stay unstable. The greatest investors, the wisest business people, the truly wealthy, they all have one thing in common: emotional control. They understand that discipline makes you rich, emotion makes you poor. I remember watching people during financial booms. Everyone was rushing to buy stocks, houses, even things they didn't understand. Excitement was high, logic was low. Then the market turned and panic took over. The same people who bought at the peak were selling at the bottom. Why? Not because the opportunity disappeared, but because their emotions overpowered their intelligence. You see, the key is not to remove emotion, it's to master it. Feel it, but don't follow it. You must learn to detach your feelings from your financial decisions. When you feel that impulse to spend, to chase a trend, or to panic sell, step back. Wealth doesn't reward impulse, it rewards patience and principle. That's why I often tell people, never make a big financial decision in an emotional moment. Delay it 24 hours. Let emotion fade and reason rise. Most of your worst decisions will dissolve with a night's sleep. The wealthy play the long game. They set written rules before the emotions come. They decide ahead of time when to buy, when to sell, when to invest, when to wait. They don't let feelings rewrite the plan. If you rely on emotion in moments of uncertainty, you'll spend your life reacting instead of responding. But if you rely on principles, you'll navigate chaos with calm. I learned this lesson the hard way. In my early years, I chased deals because they felt right. I trusted excitement more than evidence. Some paid off, most didn't. It wasn't until I began studying numbers, trends, and patterns, not moods, that I realized how emotional money can make us. So, I started journaling before big financial choices. I'd write down my feelings, my reasons, and my fears. When I read them later, I could see clearly what emotion was trying to disguise. That one habit alone saved me from countless mistakes. If you want wealth that lasts, make calm your currency. Before making financial decisions, clear your mind, meditate, journal, take a walk, anything that separates emotion from action. Remember, emotional spending, emotional investing, and emotional reactions are the fastest ways to empty accounts. Logical, patient, and disciplined decisions are how fortunes are quietly built. Wealth grows where logic leads and fear follows. The moment you learn to control your emotions, you take control of your wealth. Because if you can't manage emotion, you'll never manage money. As we come to the close of this message, let me remind you of something simple but powerful. Wealth is not built in the markets, it's built in the mind. Before your wallet grows, your wisdom must. Before your income multiplies, your habits must. Before the world believes in you, you must believe in yourself enough to take consistent, intelligent action every single day. You see, the difference between the average and the extraordinary isn't talent, it's transformation. It's the ability to change the way you think about money, time. Most people spend their lives reacting to life, paying bills, buying comfort, and chasing the next payday. But those who build wealth, they respond to life, they think long-term, act daily, and refuse to trade purpose for pleasure. You can't wait for the economy to change, for luck to strike, or for someone to come and rescue your finances. The real rescue begins when you take responsibility. When you stop saying I can't and start asking, how can I? When you decide that your future deserves more than your excuses. That's the day wealth begins to take root, not in your bank, but in your behavior. Start small, but start now. Read one good book on money this month. Save 10% of every dollar you earn. Turn an expense into an investment. Build one new stream of income this year. It doesn't matter how slow it seems. What matters is that you're building something that will outlast emotion and outlive effort. Because wealth doesn't come to the lucky, it comes to the disciplined. And above all, remember this: don't chase money, attract it. Become so valuable, so skilled, so reliable that the marketplace can't ignore you. Money will always flow to those who solve problems, who think clearly, and who lead with integrity. So tonight, take a quiet moment and ask yourself, am I living like a consumer or thinking like an investor? Because the moment you shift your thinking, your entire financial destiny shifts with it. Now, it's your turn to act, to apply, to grow. Think different, act daily, and build something that not only makes you wealthy, but makes you worthy of the wealth. That's how you transform from making a living to creating a legacy.